Hi guys, this is Magic Dan from Magic Pachinko Restorations with another short video on a vintage pachinko machine. We're really starting to get a fair amount of subscribers now, which is great. I haven't checked lately, but I'm pretty sure we're right around 300 or so. That's really appreciate the subscribers, really appreciate the comments. Again, I would ask that if you do have questions that require a more detailed response, if you go to magicpachinkorestorations.com, use the contact me area there. It's much easier for me to communicate with you. But I certainly appreciate the comments and the questions. Keep them coming. I love it. Loving it. This is a 1975 Nishijin Model B, done with a full restoration for the customer. With all of my restorations, everything comes off, everything gets dealt with, everything gets cleaned, and everything then gets reassembled. So that's a new play field. The nails get polished and reset. And it was interesting with this particular machine that when I first started to play it, I was not getting very many wins at all. And although that's good for the house if it were in a parlor, it's not necessarily really good for a customer because they want to win, which makes sense. So I do a lot of tweaking of the nails. Now, when you do a complete restoration and take the old playfield off, this is the this is the old playfield. Wasn't in too bad a shape. The colors weren't. Well, obviously you can see a difference in the colors. I mean, this should be a much darker green, and that's almost red instead of orange, and so on. But at any rate, when this comes off, to necessitate this coming off, everything comes off, and then I separate this frame, excuse me, from the main board, pull them apart, and then pull all the nails and the rails and so on and so forth. Excuse me. So after you put the new artwork on and get all the holes and so on ready to go, the first thing you do is put the nails back in. And when I put them back in, they go in relatively easily. I drive them in with a soft mallet, and they go right back to the same depth, or approximately the same depth. Now I do have a set of tools here. This actually came from Sankyo in Japan. This is the hammer that you can whack the nails with. This is a depth gauge. These are ball gauges. I'm not sure what these are actually. I never did find out. I've heard them referred to as a layer tool. They're like feeler gauges, but I'm not sure how you use them. But this is a depth gauge, so one of the things that I have to do is measure the depth of the nail. You have to drive them in so far. I found out the hard way one time by not driving the nails in far enough, and then I had a piece of glass in here. And when I closed this, it put enough pressure on the glass that it actually shattered it. So you kind of find out things the hard way sometimes. But you also use the nail gauge. These are pachinko balls, and they're actually, with this set, they're set to 4 different diameters. And I use the largest diameter so that when you check for gap spacing in the nails, I use the largest one, so that opens the nails up more than the smallest one does. So when you gap this, you want to make sure that the ball is able to drop down through. They're also supposed to be tilted on about a 4-degree angle. I'm not so sure about that. I do my best, but they should be tipped up a little bit. And this right here, they look nice and lined up. And actually there's a specific way for each of those nails to line them up if you do some research on it. But I noticed that when I was first playing, the ball would come in here and then it would come down and bounce. It would bounce off of these and not go in. And I just kept playing with it and tweaking it, and then all of a sudden the ball would drop straight down and into the pay pockets, and the same thing happens over here. So it's really important that you get the nails lined up. If you're going to bother taking them out, you need to have some sort of tool like this to be able to make sure that you're putting them back the right way. So that's just a little aside there for anybody that's doing their own restorations. So here's the back of it, all nice and clean. Very important that the guts get cleaned. Internally, they're just nasty black with cigarette smoke residue and body oil from 40, well, not from 40 years of use, but the use in the pachinko parlors load them up, and then it sits there for 40 years, so it doesn't get any better with time. So this one's got most all of the covers. The seesaw cover's missing, and typically there's a cover right in here. Neither one is necessary for the complete functionality. Actually, this had the lower track cover missing also. That one is critical, but I can print these on my 3D printer, so I was able to replace that. So redid the wiring, make sure all the bulbs work. I use a 12-volt wall transformer, and you just plug it in now. And notice this light comes on. This light is controlled by this leaf switch here. When there's no balls in the machine, or balls are from here around, this lifts up and this pushes down and it lights the light. When there's enough balls in there, this gets pushed down. Oop, I bent it. This gets pushed down. Come on. This gets pushed down and the light goes out. Okay, so that's the way that works. So the other thing you want to make sure of is that the ball release latch is latched. I've marked it with red marker. It's a two-piece part here. There's the arrow and then there's the red, and you want to make sure you push this way and latch those two. So when the balls run across into the turnaround, they'll go across and into the jackpot chamber. If this is open, then the balls will go out through the exit chute and go all over the floor, and you don't want that. So make sure that gets latched. The other thing you want to make sure of is your seesaw is in the correct position. And again, I've marked the push rod down here with a red arrow. If the seesaw is down like that, you push up on the rod. Normally the cover would be on, but without having a cover, if this is down, you can just do that. So I've got an arrow up here and an arrow down here. This is the proper position for the seesaw rather than this way. If the seesaw is down when a winning ball comes in, it will just simply hit the end of the seesaw and stay there. And then eventually you'll get more and more balls backed up, and that's not good. So I want to make sure that you start with it this way and start with that there. Now, what you want to do is take a handful of balls first, drop them in your upper tray, and make sure that they run through the feed tracks into the jackpot. And again, not all over the floor. So now you know that this is set right. %90 of the balls that you have are going to go in the upper hopper. You only need about 10% to actually play with. So the vast majority of the balls you have go in the upper hopper to supply the machine. Keep in mind you want the seesaw tipped up. The machine is now ready to play. What you're going to need is something similar to this that will span from here to here. The winning ball exits the machine here. The losing balls all exit the machine here. So you need something. It can be like this. It can be a cardboard box. It can be anything that fits. Okay? So the rest of the balls are going in here. Put that back there. Now, the first time you go to launch a ball, nothing will happen. It takes one cycle of the launch system to get a ball onto the launch track. So the next time it will launch a ball. And right now, if you notice, this tulip is open. This one and this one are closed. These are much smaller targets than one with an open target, open tulip. So this is what you're going to shoot for, and we'll see if we can do that. There we go. So that's a win. The ideal launch of a ball is to get it up in this area and then let it drop through the middle section. So if you press all the way down and let go, it's going to tend to go way over here, hit the bumper, and stay on the right side. If you go maybe half to 3/4, whoops, that's not quite enough. There, it'll stay on the left side of the machine. So you want to try to get used to the amount of pressure you need to get it to go up into the top portion of the machine and then let it come down through. So what happened there is, I didn't see it, but a ball got into the center attraction. And when it gets into the center attraction, if it stays on the right side of the center attraction, it'll open this. If it stays on the left, it'll open this. If it goes right down the middle, it'll open this. So a ball went into here, you get a win for that, and then a ball, I believe, went in here, and then it reopened. I'm not sure, I wasn't paying that much attention to it, but that's what will happen when you get balls in the center attraction. So that's your machine. Hope you enjoy it for years to come. Thank you.